So Kate, thanks so much for spending time with us today.
No problem, my pleasure.
You're the supervisor here at Canna Lily.
I'm one of them, yes.
Right on. So tell us a little bit about your role here.
Well, we have a few supervisors here who are floor managers, but also we take care of some of the special projects. We do the scheduling, we do the training, and then we also plan a lot of the events that we do here. So it's kind of just there's a lot of different things, which makes our job really exciting because it's not just one thing.
Great. Yeah. Now, on top of events, you know the history of Canna Lily. Tell us a little bit about the history here at Canna Lily.
So Canna Lily was founded in 1955 by Bill and Joan Infant, who 5 years earlier came over to Canada from Holland in 1950. And when they bought this farm, it was a disaster. It was in really rough shape, and they had to spend a lot of time giving it a lot of TLC. But Bill focused on the fields and growing nursery stock, and Joan, she focused on fixing up their family home, taking care of their, at that time, 5 children, and also selling the plants that Bill grew. So how Canna Lily actually started was Joan had a wheelbarrow full of privet plants, and she put it at the side of the road, and she would be up at the house with the 5 kids fixing up the house, and if a customer came, they'd ring the buzzer that they set up, and Joan would hop on her little scooter, and she would scoot down, help the customer. When the customer was ready to go, she would scoot all the way back up and to be with the kids in the house.
That's great.
So that's how we started, and now we're a 110-acre nursery.
That's amazing, and it's still in the Infant family.
It is. It's a family business. It's been a family business for 62 years.
Tell us a little bit about Canna Lily being Ontario's favorite garden center.
Yes, Canada is Ontario's favorite garden center, and our loyal customers have voted us so. From the very, very beginning, Canna Lily Nurseries was founded by Bill and Joan Infant back in 1955, and their founding principle has always wanted to be the very best garden center possible and the best nursery possible. And by providing the best quality plants and services, outstanding selection, and expert advice, I think those have been instilled in us over the years and continue for us to strive towards. And that has allowed us to build an excellent customer selection, or loyal customers.
And you mentioned the staff. I mean, that's what you guys are known for, is the incredible help and the staff that anybody can answer a question for you.
We're very, very fortunate to have quite a few experienced staff members who continually return to us, who really can give you the expert advice. We work really hard to make sure no customer leaves here without being prepared to experience gardening success. And our new staff members, it's a really steep learning curve, but they do a great job and they get rigorous training. So, and so they're wonderful too. I mean, everyone has a smile here. It's a beautiful place to work.
So Jarrett, you are one of the staff members of this amazing crew.
Yes.
And you're here to talk to us about the Inspiration Garden. So give us a little bit of insight into what these Inspiration Gardens are about.
All right, so essentially this idea came from our president, Tom Infant. He actually went to South Africa in 2008 and he visited some of the garden centers down there. Cool. And they had all these mock gardens all set up. So he took that idea and brought it back here and developed the 15 gardens you see before us.
Awesome, you want to take me on a tour?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So what do we have on the first here?
So this is a small space arbor garden. So essentially these are for people who have smaller yards, not a whole lot of space, but they still want to bring some color and interest to their yard.
Perfect. So when I'm shopping, I can look at this and go, okay, I like these pieces, and I can take them home with me.
Absolutely. We actually have these designs all set up here, which are on these sheets. So they lay out the garden and it's a map. So
awesome.
Everything can be found within our garden center there, and these are free.
So tell us a little bit about the nursery. I understand that you supply plants to both all of Ontario and Quebec.
That's right, and actually, and beyond. We are a leading award-winning nursery. We have 110 acres here, and we grow a lot of our own product that we sell here, but we also export or ship to garden centers all across Ontario, into Quebec, and down east.
And what are some of the plants that you're growing that you're shipping out?
Well, one of Canna Lily's specialties is top grafted ornamentals, flowering shrubs, and of course Japanese maples are one of our key features.
I have a few of those in my garden myself. So a lot of what we saw in the inspiration gardens is what you ship out.
Yes, many of them, but also we also source the world. We go all over looking for all those newest and greatest and most unique plants to bring back here for our customers, so they have a great selection.
Awesome. Hey, Krista, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. So you're going to tell us all about succulents, which are a huge thing right now. And what makes succulents so famous right now?
I think they're just so famous right now because there's such a huge variety of them. As you can see here, there's a lot of different kinds of textures. Like this one, if you feel it, it's like kind of fuzzy and soft, as well as this one. And then like some are flowering, some aren't. I think it's just because there's just a variety of so much that people can kind of use them and put them wherever. They're good for indoor and outdoor. So you can do a patio pot up of them and have them outside, or you can have them inside on a coffee table. So
Right on.
yeah.
That's cool. And so what do we have here in front of us?
Oh, we have a lot of different kinds, a lot of different names. It's hard to keep track of them all. We have the Echeverria over here. We have some sedum. They're more of the hardier. And then the hens and chicks here, those are more hardier, so they're gonna come back every year. So sometimes people like to use those in their outside ones so they can continue to keep getting
And you
them.
said this one's called hens and chicks?
Yeah, it's
I
a hens
love
and
that.
chicks, yeah.
Awesome.
It's super cute. But yeah,
Cool.
so there's a bunch of different kinds. And then the main thing is with succulents is they're so easy because you don't have to water them as much. And most people tend to forget sometimes. And with
Yeah.
succulents, it's actually like leave it for a week and then water it.
Perfect.
So it makes it a lot easier for people who don't necessarily want to be watering something constantly.
We've been here for 62 years, so we have quite a rich history here, but we really need to focus on the gardeners in the next generation. So in the spring and in the fall, we run a program every weekend called Canada Kids Club. And for this, we invite kids of all ages to come in and complete a free gardening craft every single weekend. So this year our program focused on pollinators. So every week kids could come in and do a different planting craft. We teach them about the plants, we teach them about caring for the plants, we teach them about pollinators and why they're so important. And yeah, they get to leave with a free plant and they know how to take care of them, and it gets them exciting about gardening.
So Kathy, we're doing a summer planter today.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Okay.
Perfect.
I'm going to show you the plants and you're going to plant them up for me.
Sounds great. So do you
So-
start biggest?
We will. First off, you want to use a pot that has drainage in the bottom if it's going outside. So that way
holes.
when it rains, it's not going to get completely soaked.
Right.
And then we have a look and see if it's going in a shady spot or a sunny spot.
Okay.
So this one's going in sun.
Perfect.
So first of all, you're right. We're going to use the taller plant. This is a Canna Lily.
Oh, I love cannas.
Yeah, and we're going to put it actually in the center.
Okay, should I
That one.
break it up or anything? Or?
You can a little bit on the bottom. You don't really want to break the roots, but you want to just kind of
Soften
give
them
them a
up?
little start.
Should I bury it or just set it on top?
This one, we filled up the pot with about 3/4 the potting soil.
Okay.
So you won't want to go too far down.
Like there?
We're going to lift it up a little bit.
Okay.
Just when you're all done, you want it to be maybe about an inch below so that when you're watering it, your soil isn't all coming out of there, but you
Perfect.
don't want it too far down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's our tallest kind of showy piece of it.
Okay.
And next we're gonna put like our filler flowers around.
Awesome.
And lastly, we'll do the ones that spill over the edge. So
Cool.
this one's a beautiful purple color. We're gonna put that in there.
Okay. So to get it out, do I?
So you're gonna kind of tip it to the side
Okay.
and just
squeeze
yeah,
it out?
exactly.
Okay. And then
And you're
just
gonna
once
tip
again
that on the side. Yeah.
just like that.
Perfect.
Cool. That's a really pretty
Great.
color.
Yeah. So we're just kind of using jewel tones today.
So we're at the tail end of doing our planter now, and the last piece that we put in.
Yeah, so we want some things that are going to trail over the side of our pot. So I've chosen a few things here. This is potato vine. It comes in 2 different shades.
Okay.
And this is another really pretty, it's got a really pretty yellow flower
yeah.
on there. So
And
we're
it'll
gonna
droop
put
over
that.
too, eh?
Exactly,
Okay.
so all 3 of these will. So yeah, you can just kind of, they go right on the edge
Okay.
of our planter here.
So yeah, so these ones tip over you side, so they kind of just
They
when
spill
you
out.
plant them,
yeah.
just
They're
put
called the
them
spillers.
like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. So that they'll.
that looks great.
Great. Awesome. And then we fill her in.
Exactly. So after that, you would fill with a really good potting soil.
Okay.
Do you want to do it?
Sure. So you just get her in there.
Yeah,
eh?
you just make sure that all the plants
Get covered up.
have soil over them. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Perfect. And then anything, do you have to pat these down at all? Or?
A little bit.
Okay.
You want to put, not too much, but just a little bit to make sure there's no holes in there.
Perfect.
Because the roots need to spread out.
Okay. Yeah. And then it's good to go on my patio.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Kathy. I really appreciate
You're
it. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
I mean, this place is about family. It's about customer experience. Your employees are family and friends too.
Yes.
So when people tell us about the experience for people as soon as they walk through that door.
Well, most people come in, they're wowed. There is that wow factor to come here. We are a destination. People come from, my loyal customers come from Windsor as far away as Ottawa and beyond. And when they come here, a lot of them are just overwhelmed at the size of the space. But hopefully it's not just the size that overwhelms them, but it's also those key factors of being the quality, the service, and the selection. We want them to have a wonderful experience here, and we work very, very hard to be at the very best.
Well, you're doing a great job, Jim.
Thank you very much.
And thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Well, we're glad to have you come out today. Thank you.
Thank you.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
When all seems lost, a few brave souls can save everything we've ever known.
The operation is over.
We're not giving up on Prime, okay?
This is amazing! Oh my god! Can you take a picture of me? Sorry! Ah! We would like to come back up now! Ah!
Think it's okay to drive high? Think again. Drug-impaired driving is as illegal as drunk driving, and in Ontario, the penalties are the same. If police suspect you're driving under the influence of drugs of any kind, or a combination of drugs and alcohol, and you fail a roadside test, your license will be suspended immediately for up to 30 days. You'll pay a penalty of $198. And you can be charged with a criminal offense of impaired driving, the same as alcohol. Driving high is never okay.
Salthaven really started as an idea many years ago. Today we have over 120 clinical volunteers that work 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week to help sick, injured, or orphaned wild animals, and we still can't keep caught up.
How are you?
Great.
Good.
Thanks for having us today.
Not a problem, and welcome to our train station here. You're inside the original 1856 built London and Port Stanley railway station that we've modified and set up for our needs.
Wonderful.
So anyhow.
So you mentioned original 1846 building. Tell us a little bit about the building itself.
Well, the original building, we're standing, as far as I know, in the original portion, which is this section here. When the railway was completely rebuilt and electrified in 1915, this station was modified and rebuilt again. They added the north 2 wings and the baggage room at that end, which is now our volunteers room. So it was all redone outside with stucco, new hardwood floor, which has been around a while, obviously. And so yeah, that's basically what they did.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the space we're in right now. This is where we buy our tickets to hop on the train.
So when you come into the station to buy your tickets, you come here to this desk and see our station manager, Alan Oliver, and he will set you up with the tickets for the train ride for the day. This is the beginning of the retail section here, where there's stuff for souvenirs for kids and adults and lots of toys for kids.
Awesome. Yep. And let's look at the toys. You've got an amazing train table.
Yeah, we carry a huge selection of Thomas the Tank stuff that's obviously a huge hit with the kids. This table, we have it set up so the kids can come and play it and test all the stuff out and drive their parents nuts, and then usually they go over and they pick something off the shelf for them.
Perfect. And speaking about picking off the shelf, you've got an amazing selection of toys to go onto the train table. Tell us a little bit about what we've got on the wall here.
Okay, well this is all current Thomas the Tank stock that's been produced. We're always reordering because the kids and parents are always buying it.
Yeah, I'm seeing some of the favorites of my little guys. I see Emily there and James there.
Yep.
So these will fit this train table.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, all the Thomas stuff fits on that wooden track stuff. Yep.
Great. And then we wheel around here too, and we've got a whole bunch of apparel as well.
Yeah, we have Thomas the Tank shirts, t-shirts. There's some sweaters. There's our own railway sweaters.
Fantastic.
There's shirts there that the kids can look through to find their favorite Thomas person.
Great. And then I see on the wall here, this is a really cool map. Tell us a little bit about what's behind this map and all the pegs.
Okay, we put up these two maps, and obviously one is of Canada and the other one's the rest of the world. And we encourage the people that come and visit us to take a pin and stick it on where they're from. So as you can see, from all the provinces in Canada, some from the States, and on the world map, there's people have come from all over Australia, Eastern Russia, Greenland. Yeah.
Wow.
So from all over, they've come here to visit.
That's incredible. Look at all the points of interest. That's amazing. That is great. So tell us a little bit about people's reaction when they come here to the Port Stanley Terminal Rail.
They're pleasantly surprised because this is kind of a unique experience. There's only a few places that you can actually ride a tourist train and get that experience. And they're more surprised when they find out that we're all volunteer run railway. So
yeah, it's an incredible feat. And so how are people finding you when they're coming from Russia or from Greenland?
Different websites, I'm assuming. We're linked to quite a few different railway websites and tourist railway websites, tourism websites. So I think we're pretty easy to find once people get clicking on what they're looking for.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about this museum section of the building.
Well, in this area we have some artifacts related to the railway. Some was actually related to the London and Port Stanley Railway. So there's displays of all kinds of cans and lanterns, different kinds of tools that were used way back when.
Oh, wow.
There's some different switch keys in there that were all used on the LNPS railway.
Oh, neat. And what does a switch key do?
Those are they operate the locks on the switch stands, and the switch stands are what we use to turn the tracks to change the direction of which track we're going to use.
Oh, so the train can go on a different track. Cool.
Right.
Now, give us a little bit of history on the Port Stanley Terminal Rail and then the original London St. Thomas Port Stanley Railway. What was the evolution of the history?
Well, the original railway was built in 1856. They started construction here in Port Stanley because all the materials were brought over by boat from England. The locomotives came from there as well. So they started down here and worked their way north. It took them about 2.5, 3 years to build a railway, I believe. So it started as a railway to haul passengers and goods between London and Port Stanley. The busiest year was right around World War II when the railway hauled 15 million people or something, some astronomical number like that. It was really, really busy back then because nobody had an automobile back then.
Right.
And Port Stanley was the Coney Island of beaches, so everybody came down here. Back in the 50s, when the automobile started making an appearance and people could afford them, then the passenger service started to decline. The LNPS railway had ceased passenger operation about 1957. They still carried on with freight. The railway was then transferred to the City of London about it was in the early 60s, I believe, 65 maybe. And so CN ran it for about 13 years. They ran it for freight only. There was a little bit of oil and coal still coming out of port. And a washout had appeared in the line at Union about 1976. That severed the tracks between St. Thomas and Port Stanley, so nothing had come south of St. Thomas since about 1976. The railway, CN had applied for abandonment in 1980, and there was a bunch of fellows that were running the steam railway at Pinafore Park that thought, we could turn this into a tourist railway, and so that's how the process began.
Awesome. And you mentioned when we were at the maps there, this is a volunteer-run organization.
Right.
So tell us about the volunteers and what you guys do to make this happen.
Well, the volunteers run all aspects of the railway. They're train crew, engineers and conductors. We fix and maintain the tracks. We fix and maintain our railway coaches. We do repairs to the buildings. Anything that's connected with the operation of the railway, we're all volunteers that are doing this. And we do it just for something to do, just to keep it going.
That's amazing. And how large of a group of volunteers do you have?
Currently, we probably have between 20 and 30. So but we're always looking for more.
Fantastic. So that's a call out for volunteers.
That is a call out. If you've always wanted to work on the railway and you've had your little railway in the basement, we can keep you busy here.
Fantastic. So speaking of which, how about we get out there and check out the train?
Sure.
Okay, great. So this is the engine that pulls the train. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, this is what they call an industrial switcher.
Okay.
This was built, I believe, in 1952. It was built as 150 horsepower, but as we progress down here, we've actually got a 290 horsepower turbocharged engine in it now, so it'll pull quite a bit up the hill. It started its life in a gravel pit in Paris, Ontario, hauling cars in their little yard. It became available to us about 1982, and the guys brought it back on a pickup truck, on a flatbed truck, to the shops at Pinafore Park, and over the winter rebuilt it. It got a paint job in the spring, and then it was trucked down here to start excursions in 1983.
Oh wow, so it's been a steadfast train for you.
That's right, yeah.
That's great. So can we have a look inside?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So how do you start this bad boy up?
Well, there's a key underneath this cover, and that's how we start it.
Okay.
Sounds just like a truck when it's running.
Right.
And then to make it go, this is the gas, the throttle. There's a lever down here to make it go forwards and backwards, and this setup here is the brakes. There's a handle that usually is in here. This puts the brakes on the engine only, and this brake here puts the brakes on with the rest of the train behind us.
Oh, and what's it like driving down the tracks?
It's pretty cool actually, because you see an area of land that the general public usually doesn't see. So it's pretty picturesque. We're going through, we're following the Kettle Creek Valley basically. So we go over a couple of bridges, over some water, and we follow the creek out of the village. We're going through farm fields, pastures, and as you get closer to St. Thomas, we're going essentially through people's backyards.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So inside you mentioned about the volunteers working on the track. So tell us, what kind of work needs to be done on the tracks to keep everything going?
Well, the most important thing that needs to be done, and it's an ongoing job, is changing the ties. Because the ties are made out of wood, and wood obviously rots after so many years.
Right.
The biggest problem that we had when we first took over in 1983 was there'd been no rail activity down here for about 13 or so years.
Right.
So the line at that point from St. Thomas south was completely overgrown, and in a few different spots the track was covered in mud. There was a location between John Wise line and Fruit Ridge line that was completely under mud and water because there had been no ditching done for a very long time.
And then as we get down further, what else is down here in the rail yards?
This is where we store all our extra equipment.
Okay.
And it's also where we repair all our equipment. All our repairs are done outside because we have no shop building.
Okay.
So the weather kind of dictates when we're going to do outside work or when we're going to do painting.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the rolling stock we've got back here in the yard.
Okay, so we do have quite an array of rolling stock. Right here is 2 of our other operational locomotives.
Great.
This one actually came from the same gravel pit that the one downtown came from, so they're sisters and they're both back here. So.
Oh, that's really neat.
The other locomotive, L3, actually came from the Winnipeg Water District Railway. They had 4 of those that they sold back in the early 90s, and we were lucky enough to get one of them.
Perfect. And then you've got a new engine too that you're restoring.
Yeah, we picked up another locomotive early last winter from a scrapyard in Windsor, and trucked it back here, and we've been working on it ever since. Coming from a scrapyard, it was full of scrap itself. Al, who's been the mainstay working on it, has spent a couple of days a week down here just removing junk out of it, and several wheelbarrows full of garbage come out of it.
Oh, I bet. And tell us about your caboose too.
And in front of that locomotive that we're restoring is one of our other passenger cars that actually just got a paint job a few weeks ago by one of our volunteer contractors. So we're hoping that to get a few more painted.
So you've just painted the caboose, and I mean PSTR green is iconic. Tell us a little bit about the history of the green.
Well, the original color was a little bit darker. It was probably called Shutter Green, which I believe was a carryover from the London and Port Stanley Railway.
Right.
But as we've progressed, we thought the cars needed a little bit of brightening up, so we've chosen this green that's a little bit brighter, and eventually the rest of the cars and equipment will all receive this same paint color.
Great, it looks wonderful. So what you said, this paint color and this paint will last the next 10 years. So what's in store for PSTR for the next 10 years and moving forward?
Who knows what the future holds? We're hopeful that the connection to the outside world happens in the next few months, and if that happens, there's other possibilities that could happen our way.
Wonderful. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time today, Dan.
My pleasure.
And thank you for volunteering and making this happen, and to your entire group of volunteers.
Thank you very much. Yep, thanks.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hi, I'm Dion. I'm a volunteer here at Rogers TV, and when I'm not here at Rogers, you can find me roller skating in TV production and audio. Seemed like a really nice way to get a chance to learn some of it. I love playing with sound and video and things like that. Get to play with a lot of different equipment and learn.
Bladder cancer. It's the 5th most common cancer in Canada. The most common